If you're trying to improve your English, there's no better way than listening to a story. While you're just enjoying the journey, your brain is quietly learning vocabulary, grammar, and natural structure. You'll be surprised how much sticks with you. So if you enjoy this one, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We have new stories every single day, and they're all here to help you level up your English skills while having fun. It all started with a regular afternoon. The sun wasn't shining too brightly, but it was still warm. The sky had that soft golden color that usually means something beautiful is on its way. Armin didn't have any plans. He had just finished a long week of work and was feeling a little tired of the usual routine. He looked out of his window and thought about all the times he had told himself he would go to the top of Milad Tower. He had lived in Tehran his whole life but had never taken the time to see the city from above. The idea always sounded too touristy or maybe too simple. But today, for some reason, the idea didn't seem so silly. It felt right. So, without thinking too much, Armin grabbed his backpack, slipped on a light jacket, and headed out. The streets were busy like they always were, full of honking cars and people moving in every direction. But Armin felt like he was moving differently, like he was quietly floating through the noise, not quite part of it. He walked past small shops, bakeries with the smell of fresh bread pouring into the street, and kids playing football between parked cars. Everything was normal, but something inside Armin felt different. As he approached the tower, the mood started to change. The buildings around him grew smaller, and Milad Tower began to rise in front of him like a giant watching over the city. Even from a distance, it had a kind of calm power. He bought his ticket and took the elevator up. It moved fast, so fast that his ears popped. The walls were metal and smooth, and the numbers above the door changed quickly. He looked around at the others inside. Most were families, kids holding on to their parents' hands, a few tourists with cameras hanging from their necks. When the elevator stopped and the doors opened, a cool breeze greeted him as he stepped onto the viewing deck. And then it hit him, the view. Tehran stretched out in every direction. Rows of rooftops, streets like thin lines, cars like tiny dots. The mountains in the distance stood tall and proud, already touched by the soft colors of the sunset. The sky was turning a rich orange with hints of deep blue above it. Armin walked slowly along the glass windows, taking it all in. The city looked peaceful from up here. The noise was gone. The stress was gone. Up here, everything looked slower, softer. You couldn't hear the cars, the shouting, or the rush. You could only see the movement, quiet and graceful. He found a small corner where no one was standing and leaned against the railing. The sun was lower now, and the golden light started to paint the tops of the buildings. It felt like the city was glowing. Armin thought about all the things this city had given him, the memories, the friendships, the lessons, the mistakes. Everything was part of this place. And now he was seeing it all from above, like looking at a map of his own story. A plane flew across the sky, slowly leaving a white trail behind. The sound was faint, barely a whisper. He watched it for a while until it disappeared into the horizon. The wind was stronger now, but it felt good. It wasn't cold, just fresh. It carried the scent of the city, a mix of dust, stone, and something sweet he couldn't quite name. Maybe it was the smell of something cooking far below. Maybe it was just the smell of Tehran at sunset. He saw the lights start to come on. One by one, buildings lit up. The streets below began to shine like veins of gold running through the city's heart. Cars had their headlights on, and they moved slowly in long lines. It felt like time had slowed down just for this moment. He noticed someone had left a paper cup near the railing. He picked it up and threw it in a nearby bin. Somehow, it felt important to keep this place clean, to protect this view, this peace. The tower started to glow too. The structure lit up with soft colors, changing slowly, gently. People around him were taking photos, some laughing, others just staring like he was. Armin didn't take any pictures. He didn't want to. He knew this moment wasn't about capturing something. It was about feeling it. As the sun dropped below the mountains, the sky turned deep orange, then red, then dark purple. It was one of those sunsets that made you stop thinking. You just watched. You just felt. He stayed there longer than he had planned. The night slowly wrapped itself around the city. More stars appeared. The wind became a little cooler. He thought about how many people were down there, living their lives, cooking dinner, watching TV, talking to friends, worrying about tomorrow. From up here, it all looked so quiet, but he knew that every light below held a story, a family, a dream. It reminded him of something his grandfather once said, that every window you see from far away is a little universe. Armin smiled at the memory. It felt good to remember something so simple, yet so true. Eventually he knew it was time to go. The tower would close soon, and he didn't want to miss the last elevator down. As he rode the elevator back to the ground, he felt a strange sense of peace. It wasn't the kind of peace you feel when everything is perfect. It was the kind you feel when you understand where you are and you're okay with it. When you feel connected to something bigger. Back on the street, the city was alive again. Horns honked, people shouted, lights blinked. But Armin felt like he was walking through it all with a new kind of silence inside him. He didn't go straight home. He walked for a while, passing food stalls, parked bikes, and old brick walls covered in street art. He passed a small fountain in a quiet square and sat for a few minutes. He watched the water dance under a yellow light. He listened to the rhythm of life around him. That night, when he finally got home, Armin didn't feel tired. He didn't rush to check his phone or turn on the TV. He just sat by the window for a while and looked out. The same city he had seen from above was now outside his own window, closer, louder, but somehow more beautiful than before. It wasn't just the tower or the view that had changed something in him. It was the act of stopping, looking, and feeling. Sometimes all it takes is a quiet place and a little height to see everything differently. And from that day on, Armin carried the sunset with him, not in his phone, not in a picture, but in his mind. It reminded him that even in a fast, crowded, noisy city, there are still moments of silence, beauty, and connection. You just have to go high enough to see them. You just listen to a full story in English, and without realizing it, you learned a ton of useful vocabulary and structures. That's the power of storytelling. You're improving your English naturally while enjoying every moment. If this story moved you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for more daily stories just like this one. And let us know in the comments, what place gave you a view that changed the way you felt about life even just a little? See you in the next one.